الله أكبر الله أكبر.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم أخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمنا بنور الفهم وافتح علينا بمعرفة العلم وسهل أخلاقنا بالحلم. Once again, welcome to lessons that we can derive from the parables of the Quran into Ramadan. And in this session, inshallah Azza wa Jal, we'll talk about one of the aspects of Ramadan that is that you cannot miss. You go, whether it's at the beginning of Ramadan or towards the end of Ramadan, somebody is going to be asking you to spend for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Donations, whether it's in the form of charity or zakah, somebody is going to be approaching you. And so inshallah we would like to utilize a parable from the Quran so that we can generously be encouraged to spend for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal in surat Baqarah says,
مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء والله واسع عليم.
that the likeness of those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal, and here is the parable, is like a grain. And imagine this grain of corn, as simple as it is, can you imagine if it actually produces 7 ears? And within each ear that there is 100 grain, so you're talking about 700 of them there, multiples. Not only this, that there is, Allah Azza wa Jal says, Wallahu yudha'ifu liman yasha, and Allah gives manifold increase to whom He pleases. Now the scholars actually, there's a disagreement between the scholars as to what this is. Is this referring to any kind of good act that Allah Azza wa Jal would multiply into 7, and each one of the 7 would have 100, so that becomes 700? Well, the majority of the scholars actually have said in this regard, no, this is specifically to spending for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal financially. Because they said that there are numerous ayat in a hadith that talked about that each deed is multiplied 10 times. But when it came to this, which is the spending for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah has specified this. And so the scholars have said that it's most likely the meaning here is pertaining to financial giving. It is the reason actually that the scholars have said that this verse was actually revealed is because of an incident. As you know, in the Ghazwat Tabuk, the Battle of Tabuk happened in the 9th year of Al-Hijrah. It actually, to understand the difficulty of the situation there, a year prior to it was the Battle of Hunain, when the Sahaba radwanullah alayhim went to Mecca, and then from Mecca they had to go to Ta'if for this Battle of Hunain, where they felt at one point that they were numerous and they won't lose. Some of the Muslims actually thought this, and Allah Azza wa Jal made them lose the initial part of the battle, but then eventually when they regrouped, they actually won the battle. But you can imagine going from Mecca back to Medina, and now from Medina in less than a year they're asked actually to go all the way to Tabuk. And an incident that actually required a lot of resources to be put together, because they spent a lot of resources going to Hunain a year prior to it. And so here is almost a community that's deprived, and yet they have to face around 100,000 of the Romans in Tabuk. And so Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam stands before the Sahaba radwanullahi alayhim, and he encourages them so that they can give for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. And as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam started to encourage, the incident here that for which the verses came was actually for 2 of the great Sahaba radwanullahi alayhim. One of them is Abdurrahman ibn Auf. Abdurrahman ibn Auf stands and he says, I have 8,000 with me. and I have left 4,000 for my family, but I'm going to give the other 4,000 for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam makes a dua, and he says to him, Barakallahu laka fima amsakta wa baraka fima a'tayt. That Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told him that may Allah bless you for what you have given and for what you have held with you. And it was Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu, the second Sahabi, where Uthman ibn Affan said, Ya Rasulullah, O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, alayya jahazu man la jihaza lah, that I will sponsor anyone who would like to go to the battle of Tabuk and they cannot afford to go. I will sponsor whoever needs to be going. And this is the kind of the lesson that we would like to derive into the month of Ramadan. Ramadan comes, and many of us, we will give inshallah Azza wa Jal money, but let's not give the small aspect or the little aspect, this little proportion of what we have. Let's be generous inshallah Azza wa Jal. And Allah Azza wa Jal, if the ayat came here saying it's about spending and it's at any part of the year, you can imagine the kind of multiple folds that happens in Ramadan. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal that we all open our accounts and generously give to those that approach us inshallah Azza wa Jal, and also identify those targets, those projects that actually need to be supported by the community, so that it becomes a true foundation for our growth in this country. بمشيئة الله عز وجل. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.